Hey, welcome to my private study. Yeah, this is just it's a book about the Industrial Revolution and how it ties into the modern movement of architecture. No, no, it's not that boring. Well, I guess I'll tell you if you really want to know. Well, well, I guess I should start by saying, there's two distinct figures that the book talks about in depth. Peter Behrens and Walter Gropius. Let's start with Peter though. He started out as an artistic consultant, and then he moved on to being labeled the first industrial designer. And what that really means is he came up with these new concepts of logos for companies and publicity and product design. For example, he came up with the logo for Braun and McDonald's. Um, Obviously changed since then, but along with that, he was also an architect. And having said that, Walter Gropius was also an architect. They worked hand in hand for a number of years, along with other famous architects like let's see, Mies van der Rohe. They both worked at the Bauhaus, and Peter Behrens was actually the first director of the Bauhaus. And then later on, that spot, came available, and Walter Gropius just kind of stepped in there and took it, and it's okay. But then the Nazis came in, because keep in mind that this also did take place in like 1930s and 1940s. So around that time, Walter Gropius left Germany, and he came over to the United States. In fact, he was a professor at Harvard University. Um, and they both had very strong ties with education as far as being teachers. Um, Peter Behrens came up with the work bund, which is pretty much like an arts and crafts kind of deal, because he felt that design was very important to the average person, and that it was something that could be perceived, visually, that could be like capturing to people. Um, Peter Behrens also had students who became famous, like Le Corbusier, Meyer, and Kramer. Um, but some of their like really nice buildings or accomplishments that they're known for. Peter Behrens came up with the AEG turbine factory, and Walter Gropius came up with something very similar to it, called the Fagenwerk. Um, Now, both of these buildings, since this was like the Industrial Revolution, there were new materials that were introduced in architecture, like iron and glass, and what they both did with it was they created these huge facades. The AEG turbine was actually built before the Fagenwerk was, and that was actually Walter Gropius's influence for when he did build the Fagenwerk, was the large glass facades that the AEG turbine had, the AEG turbine factory had. Now, it is kind of very similar to say that they both use these same materials on the same building with the same purpose, and their buildings kind of look the same too. They were very long cube like shapes, with like long sections of buildings, along with their huge massive glass facades that they kept on their buildings. And as far as the difference goes between them, there really wasn't much. Like, besides the fact that one of their roofs had a curve on it. But other than that, they were strikingly similar. But on that note, let me show you the rest of my mansion.